I decided to come back to FEM for a second year for a couple of reasons. I really enjoyed my ministries last year, and I think one of the main reasons to come back was to be with the kids I taught last year, whether it was in the Friends of Francis Environmental Club or teaching the confirmation classes. I got so much joy out of teaching and inspiring these kids, and last year just had such an impression on me with how much you can make a difference in 1 year. And you come to Camden and it's you're overwhelmed by the just all the things that you want to fix. And I've realized over the year and now into this year that, just helping one kid, that's a difference. And being a role model to these kids is such a difference. And so coming back, I wanted to come back to continue making that difference in the kids' lives and to be that smile when they need it. And to teach. I love teaching, and I think education is such an important thing for these kids. It changes their lives. It gives them somewhere to go. Gives them an outlet. And also, I came back for a second year to continue discovering my spirituality. I last year found myself relying on God so much more. Because it's a challenge living here. It's a challenge going through the transition of adjusting to Camden and your ministry life and FEM, and so I feel like I was able to focus on my spirituality, but now that I feel fully transitioned, I think this year will be an even bigger spiritual growth experience for me, and I look forward to that, and sharing that faith with my confirmation class too. So everything kind of comes full circle, and that full circle experience, I think I'm realizing, is the main reason that I'm back here for a second year. Continuing to get to know the parishioners and to spend a lot of time in the parish. Last year, and I was totally diving into my ministries. But at the end of the year, I started to go over parishioners' houses, so some of the families with the kids that I teach, and I really got to know the people. And I want to continue getting to know the people, get to know more people. And because they taught me so much, and they shared their stories of living in Camden, their stories of living in other countries like Mexico. And so it was such a good experience I felt fully a part of this community. And so I really look forward to becoming even more a part of that community, getting to know more people and having them know me and what I'm about, and sharing my gifts with them and them sharing their gifts with me. If you asked me that last year, I think I would have said the Friends of Francis Environmental Club, and not that I'm not connected with that this year, because I'm continuing with that. I think I feel most connected with my religious education ministry, and that was kind of a surprise for me. I knew that it's something I really have a passion for and I get a lot of joy out of, but there's something so profound about being a part of these students' spiritual journeys, and sharing my own faith journey, which is completely different than theirs, is just it's hard to put words to it. It's really, it's a beautiful experience. And so I'm getting a lot of joy out of teaching them about God, all about Catholicism, and finding ways to give them peace. Because I feel like a lot of these kids, they can't focus on their spirituality because they're worrying about so many other things. And, granted, they're teenagers. Of course, it's tough. Teenage years, I remember, it's a tough time. But especially here, not only are they worrying about peer pressure in school, but they're worrying about living in the city. They're worrying about their family members, their own lives. And so to give them that peace for an hour in a CCD or teen RCIA class, I think that'll help them be closer to God, and I'm excited to see how I can bring them peace in different ways. So I'm very excited about that for this year. I think that the toughest part was coming back for the second year and trying to get used to a new community. It's incredible in 1 year the bonds that you can make with people. And so my community last year, we had lots of ups and downs, but in the end, we were still a family, and those bonds were still fresh in my mind when the second year started. And so it was really hard to kind of just put those aside and forget about all the good times and the bad and try to make this new transition with a new group of people. And I didn't think it would be difficult, because I kind of came in, I was like, oh, this is no problem. I'm transitioned in Camden. I know the ins and outs of the city. I know my secret places I can go to get out and just find that peace. But it was really difficult, and to get used to a wonderful new community. So they definitely made it easy for me because of how wonderful they are. But it was just hard to not do the things I may have done last year, all the things that I got into a routine of, to kind of adapt to 3 new personalities, to their 3 new routines and the way that they work. So I think that was the most difficult part for me. The Franciscan tradition is such a big part of why I joined FEM, and in just 1 year it taught me so much. And of course, going to Siena and experiencing the Franciscan values for 4 years, it gave me a nice introduction to what I would be doing this year and last year. And so for people to come and experience these Franciscan values of simplicity, living in community, directly serving the poor, those are things you can't do all the time. And it's just when I went home over the summer, and told all my friends from home what I was doing, they can't relate it at all to what I'm doing. And so I think having these experiences at our age is just so important. You see the world, you take the values you learned from college, whether it's Franciscan or not, you take what you learned in college, and couple that with some common sense and just your instinct and who you are, and you take all those things with you and you serve these people, and you can't do that in many places. And so I think FEM gives you that experience, and it allows you to get outside your comfort zone. That's another huge thing. It challenges you to want to be better for the people you're serving, give you the confidence to maybe try something new, and the confidence to want to make a difference when you might feel really down about the city that you're living in. And the program itself, with all the values that it's based on, it supports you in the sense that it gives you strength. It gives you strength when it might seem really, really difficult. And of course, you were a bunch of Franciscans, and just their down-to-earth nature, their calmness, their peacefulness, all of that just makes for such a good year. I could go on and on, but just all of that makes for an experience that you'll definitely never forget, and I know I will never forget it. Just yesterday, I was teaching my teen RCIA class, which is the confirmation class, and I led the kids in a nature meditation where I, I told kind of a story where I gave, they were walking down a path with all the different colored leaves, so I had them imagine this whole other world, this natural world in creation, and I told them to, feel the sun on their backs and feel the wind through their hair. And I asked them, where do you see God in this little fantasy nature world that we created? And I could see the kids, they took it so seriously, and it was fun watching them. Like you could see them getting so into it. And then when I had them come out of their little meditation, I asked them, so where did you see God? And can you describe your scene to me that you were going through? And a couple of the kids, they were very open in sharing, and they told me that they felt so peaceful, that they had never felt that peaceful in their entire lives, and that they really felt God comforting them. And I couldn't believe, I mean, I love these meditations, but I just couldn't believe that I was able to put them in such a peaceful state. And it broke my heart because these kids aren't at peace for 5 minutes out of their entire day, maybe their entire week. They were at peace, and they didn't have to think about their family members and, you know, what's going wrong at home and, you know, the gunshots that they heard on the street. They had peace, and I was so taken back of how much that impacted them. And so right now, that is really in my, that experience is fresh in my mind, because it was so incredible to give them that peace, and that peace allowed them to think about God, where they can't really think about him that much, so they said. So I was able to bring God to them, and it was a really beautiful experience.